welcome to a special edition of Blue Jay Strike Zone. Billy the Greek and Marty Roberts, the old lefty. Old lefty asked to do a show. We're doing a show on everything except the Blue Jays because the Blue Jays are terrible, right? We're terrible. And Marty, I'm going to start off right off the bat. They win tonight 5-1. They're on the road to 95 wins, aren't they?
You know, if they didn't have Manoah in there for 1-7 or 1-8, they would be on their way to 95 wins. There's no question about it.
Billy, what do you say?
I've come to understand that it's extremely difficult to get Marty off any position in life. So, all right, well, there's nothing more to say. I agree with whatever Marty Roberts says.
All right. So, do you agree that they should have made the trade for Dalton Varsho right now?
You might want to ask Marty that first, and then we'll get my thoughts.
All right, Marty, go ahead.
Billy will never agree with the Varsho trade because his man was traded out of town.
Yep.
Who's, by the looks, it looks like he's injured again right now. He hasn't played the last 2 games, so he must have burned his hair with a curling iron.
Yeah, and there we go again. The hair. Here's what we're talking about off air. So obviously, when you look back at the trade, early results, and again, very early results, right? Take a look at Bo Bichette, Marty, and I made this point to you. Bo Bichette, who we consider, all of us, and baseball at large considers Bo Bichette a franchise guy and a cornerstone guy. I think we all agree on that. That's how he's viewed in the entirety of baseball. So let's take a look at Bo Bichette and Lourdes Gurriel in terms of their career stats to this point in time, right? They both have. It's funny that Marty, that when you're talking about Gurriel and Bichette as a comparison, again, and when you use the two names together, it's kind of like you say, well, where the hell are you going with this? Well, pay attention and I'll tell you. At bats, Bo Bichette, 1,882 at bats, Lourdes 1,924. That's a pretty big and equal sample size. Over that time, Bo's got 81 home runs, Lourdes got 78. Bo's got, let's take a look here because I can't even read, God damn it. My eyes are, and Bo scored 296 runs, Lourdes 264, 555 hits for Bo, 553 for Lourdes, 279 RBIs for Bo, 289 for Lourdes. Lourdes is batting 290 and Bo's batting 302.
You're right. We should have traded Bichette instead.
All right,
I knew he's gonna say it. I knew.
All right, all right, fair enough. Here's what I'm going to tell you, and I
can't believe you're trying to compare Bo Bichette with Lourdes Gurriel.
I'm only, and again, only
like there's 3 or 4 years difference between the two of them.
Marty, come on,
Marty, let me
have a word edgewise. Come on.
Before, I'm not trying to compare the two, and I didn't come on here to tell you that Bo Bichette is a better player than Lourdes Gurriel Jr. That's not the intention. But the sample size, and just from a hitting perspective, the sample size is pretty even. And if you take a guy, and if you think Bo Bichette is this great of a hitter, and you put Lourdes Gurriel right beside him and the stats are comparable, I don't believe Gurriel ever got the respect that he deserved in Toronto. And the reasons being, again, a lot of things that have to do with the optics, the hair, the silliness, the base running. Bo Bichette is no way, Gurriel's nowhere close to as smart a baseball player as Bo Bichette. Let's get that. But straight from a hitting perspective, you look at the Arizona trade, Marty, and there's 3 guys that moved in that trade. And today, if you had to rate them 1 through 3 today, Dalton Varsho is the 3rd best player in that trade. And it's that simple. So when you give away the best player who's going to be a catcher for the next 10 years in Moreno, you see how the Jays might be struggling behind the plate, right? Especially if Jansen is down. Then you got Gurriel, then you got Varsho. So in other words, for me, just like it was at the time when the trade came out, Corbin Carroll should be the other guy coming in instead of Dalton Varsho. If Moreno's the number 5 prospect in baseball, Marty, then why in the blue hell was Corbin Carroll not coming the other way? And it's plain and simple. And for me, you cannot justify that. You cannot justify that 3 months later. You got to turn around and say, you know what, Greek, you were bang on the money, baby.
All right, Greek. Marty, do you agree with the Greek or what?
So you have him as the 3rd best player in the trade. Yeah. All because, can you explain why he's the 3rd best player?
I'll tell you what, 3rd best player for today or moving forward organization?
No, today.
All right. Well, I got him as the third best player. Number one, if you're looking back right now, and you look at the two players, for me, Lourdes Gurriel is the better player than Dalton Varsho, aside from some of the other stuff Varsho brings to a club. If you're talking about just as a purely hitter, and I'm filling out a lineup today, and I want a guy, I'm taking Lourdes Gurriel. Number two, Moreno can be my catcher. When you take a look at Kirk and Jansen.
So, wait, one sec here.
On, you didn't let me finish.
Yes. Oh, no, I know where you're going with this. I don't need a long, drawn-out thing. So, the Jays did not need a catcher. Correct? They had their two catchers they want. As much as we'd prefer Moreno to be here, they had two catchers. So, they did not need an urgency for a catcher. So, Moreno wasn't going to fill in any spot. So, if he was in Toronto this year, you know where he would have been. AAA. He would not have been in the roster. Mm-hmm. So you bring in Varsho, take his batting average. He's never going to hit 270, 280. He's a 230 batting average guy, so get that out of your head. It don't matter. Home runs and RBIs for Varsho and Gurriel will be almost identical at the end of the year. Identical they will be. Now, let's take into play base running decisions that Varsho will make over Gurriel. And then let's add on top of that the defense that Varsho will play over Gurriel.
Okay.
And you tell me Gurriel has one category better than Varsho in. Batting average.
Probably.
Batting average. That is it. Right now, they're going to end up with home runs. They're both going to have somewhere around 20 and 70 RBIs. That's what they're going to have. Varsho is going to be the best left fielder in Major League Baseball. And he's going to steal bases. What? He's going to be the best left fielder in Major League Baseball. Hands down. Varsho.
Okay, hold on. Who's the best left fielder right now in your eyes, Marty?
You know what? I don't know who would be.
Ricky Henderson, Marty?
We're not talking overall, you moron. We're talking about right now playing Major League Baseball.
Okay, all right.
Joe told me you weren't going to be an idiot coming on here. I think he lied to me.
He's a little sensitive, eh?
Well, I don't like the stupid comments already. Oh, Ricky Henderson. Ricky Henderson wasn't very good defensively either.
So, again, don't make my points for me. What I would tell you, and again, we'll agree to disagree, but what I would tell you is that guys that bat 290 to 300, 20-plus home runs, 90-plus RBIs are rare indeed. And again, if you're given this guy and you're trading this guy for Varsho, if you make a 1-for-1 trade, okay, I understand it. You can convince me and make that case. But it should be Arizona that's throwing in, not us throwing in the fifth best catcher, the fifth best prospect in the whole game, man. And again, that's the point here. If you want to trade those two guys, Marty, 1-for-1. They're two different players, right? I like Gurriel better. You're
not getting Varsho 1-for-1 with Gurriel when you have 4 or 5 years of control. He's 3 or 4 years younger than Gurriel, and Gurriel is a free agent at the end of the year. So that's not happening.
He's not a free agent at the end of this year. He's at the end of next year. So
he's got 1 year left on his deal.
All right. Okay.
1 year left on his deal.
Okay.
You keep saying that Gurriel is a 25 homer guy and a 90 RBI guy, and he's never had either one of those yet in his career.
Well, it's not.
So can you explain to me how he is that and he's never done it?
Well done. It's not about what you did yesterday, my friend. It's about how you project the guy moving forward. And I project the guy moving forward 27 through 32 to be exactly the guy that tell you about. The exact guy that showed up at Arizona a year. The exact guy that's on a number 3 hitter on a team with a better record than the Blue Jays.
All right, hold on.
So you said that he is a 25 and 90 RBI guy, which he hasn't done yet. So how are you projecting him out to be that when he's never done it before? Explain to me.
I just did.
That doesn't explain to me. He's never done it.
I don't know. I think you're in a bad mood, Marty Roberts.
No, I just don't. I don't get it. I can sit here and say Varsho's a 25 and 70 guy because he's done it in his career already.
Oh God, but here's what you got to understand. In any kind of baseball, guys, you don't project. You don't look at what the guy's done. You project what he's going to do.
Listen, he's been in the league for 6 years now.
Yeah.
How many times do you keep projecting him out?
I just projected him, and I told you he's every bit.
You told me 3 years ago he's a 30 and 100 RBI guy, and he hasn't got there yet. When are we going to see this?
You know what? You're seeing it as it develops right now. And here's the question I want to ask. All right, you don't like the guy, fine. You like Varsho. Okay, all right, you're right. So explain to me now, right, in your infinite wisdom, why why the Blue Jays have a top 5 prospect in Moreno, yet Arizona somehow holds their top 5 prospect, same age, same kind of length on the contract in Corbin Carroll. Why is Corbin Carroll not wearing a Blue Jay uniform in that trade? And do you think that, given what you've seen this year, that would have been a more adequate return than Dalton Varsho? And would you rather have – hold on. Would you rather have Corbin Carroll or Dalton Varsho?
Obviously, you like Carroll. Obviously.
Okay, so why is he not?
I would like to trade friggin' Alejandro Kirk to the New York Yankees for friggin' Aaron Judge, too. It ain't happening.
All right, so
like, this is the problem with Leaf fans, Jays fans. They think they can give up players and get the best off of each team. That's not how this works. That's not how this works.
All right. Listen.
That's not how this works.
Hold on. They were both. Hold on. They were
I
both.
think a couple years ago when we traded 2 high prospects from the Toronto Blue Jays to the Minnesota Twins for Barrios, you were against that too. You said, I can't believe we sent our number 3 guy that way.
No.
Yeah, I know 100% because you were not on it. You were like, I can't believe we traded for Barrios for that. But yet, Martin is not even made it to AAA. He's never going to make it.
Hold on, Billy.
One second. But hold on. Prior to this year, the guy from Arizona had never played in the big. So hold on now. If you
didn't play in the big leagues,
Corbin Carroll.
Carroll played some last year.
He got a little taste,
and you saw what he was going to be.
But hold on, they were both top 5 prospects in the game, were they not?
Matter. You're not trading a top 5 for a top 5. That's just what wasn't going to happen.
No,
they got Varsho. They looked at Varsho. That's what they wanted. They wanted to improve defense. Defense is what they want to prove. Base running, they want to prove. They didn't need more home runs, more RBIs. Guys like you all year been saying their hitting isn't there. They can't score runs yet. They're ahead of last year's total.
All right.
Which doesn't make sense.
Okay,
so you guys have to switch
hold on.
I have a
question. I have a question here. All right. Look what Swanson's doing for the Jays.
Let Billy go into this because he doesn't like Swanson. He thinks Taylor
that's
should
my
be
question. Would you do the trade still, Billy? Swanson for Hernandez?
In hindsight, the only deal that I would make in the offseason, the only deal. So when you're taking a look at relief guys, it's the Blue Jays scouting department that's really struggled here because you see a lot of guys come out of nowhere in the bigs over the last few years that do everything that Swanson does and then some. There's a lot of guys that come out of nowhere in back ends of bullpens. The Blue Jays scouting department has not found one of those over the last 2 to 3 years. There's not one guy, there's not one diamond in the rough that the Blue Jays find. You can look no further than Baltimore. Look no further. Where did they get these guys? These guys were not household names, and now they're every bit as good as Swanson and moving forward. For me, the only trade that I would have made in the offseason, the only acquisition I would have made was signing Kiermaier as my 4th outfielder. I think you're a better club that way. I think you're a better club with Gurriel, Springer, and Hernandez with your 4th outfielder being Kiermaier. To me, you're a better club. And again, we don't Mr. Roberts, you can tell he was a little offside today. He was a little upset. That guy didn't even say nothing. Ricky Henderson, that guy jumped down my throat, man. Anyways, I think he's been drinking a little too much, but we'll leave it at that. Guy's got an alcohol.
Are you back here?
No, I'm listening. I'm just doing something.
Yeah. So hold on, but
I'm listening. I'm listening to him.
Maybe the guy's we got to also understand that he's under a lot of pressure. It's not easy to drive that big bus.
Oh, there's no pressure.
Yeah, hold on.
There's no pressure. You got Taylor Hernandez that's leading Major League Baseball in strikeouts, but you still want him. That's cool. You got him. Can't play a lick of defense. You want him. Can't run the bases, but you want him. I see a trend here. I see a trend.
Again, the point.
Maybe that's why the East York Bulldogs we can't play defense because Billy likes the guys that can't play defense.
But aren't the East York Bulldogs in first place?
But we can't play a lick of defense.
You know what? Funny enough, that's Poppy's responsibility. I can't talk about what Poppy's doing with that defense. And again,
Poppy.
if you're struggling,
who's your Poppy?
Hold on, Poppy. Ivan Torres, a former Cuban national team player.
¿Cómo estás, Ivan? ¿Cómo estás? ¿Estás de boca or qué?
This guy once upon a time had Ray Ordonez on the bench in the Cuban national team, and Poppy was starting ahead of him. Anyways, the point of the matter is, and again, I can't say it enough. For me, what's the hardest position in terms of finding guys, Marty, in the big leagues? If we look overall in terms of where the hardest place is to develop a bona fide stud player, So the question is Moreno going to be that guy? Yes or no? And if I think he is, man, and if you think he's not, then different. But you gave away a guy that can be your catcher for the next 10 years, right? And in my estimation, you didn't get anything back from Arizona that would repay that. Varsho's not enough for me for the combination of a guy that hits like Bo and a guy that'll catch for the next 10 years for your organization. So, again,
all right, Marty, before you answer here, I'm going to try to.
I can't answer. He's stuck on Gurriel. He's just throwing Moreno in there just to try and make it look better.
Marty.
The thing he would have preferred Moreno just being given up for Varsho.
No,
not
Moreno
Gurriel.
for Corbin. Then I'm okay. That's straight up.
Marty, I'm going to go.
And hold on. And one
Gurriel.
other thing that we might agree on that we saw today with Manoah. We saw, obviously, we'll talk about that in a bit. But here's the most ironic thing. The Blue Jays struggled to send down Manoah because over the last 3-4 years, Atkins and Shapiro have not developed goddamn anything. They have nothing in the cupboard. Yet these are the same guys that 3-4 years ago rode Alex out of town because they said he left the cupboard bare. Meanwhile, 4 years later, you haven't won anything close to what Alex did, and you have not one prospect anywhere that you can call up in a time of emergency. And you brought us Francis with the tattoo, whatever. I like guys with tattoos, but still, man, the guy's pitched 4 stars. Hey, he's the best you can do. He's the best you can do in the entire organization. That's the best you can do for a team that wants to win a pennant. Good job.
Right, so you mentioned
Roberts with your boy Shapiro.
Hold on, Marty. Here, we went back on our.
You tell him Billy's voice. He's getting nervous about walking up the 400.
Hold on. Alec Manoah sent down to the Florida
because maybe Billy will give me credit when 2 years ago I said it was too early to bring Manoah.
Here it is. Marty, you showed me the tape. You showed me the tape in January where Billy said he could be the Cy Young Award winner this year. He'll win 17 to 20 games. You said it.
Where's the text?
There's a reason why you don't rush guys up. They have to learn the game. Manoah had pitched 6 minor league games, didn't know how to fail yet. Now he's failing. He doesn't know how to handle it. Yes, we saw him nice last year. It's great. He was great
last year. How about the year before?
Manoah might never come back to be a 1 or 2 starter ever again in big league baseball. Ever again.
So is that because they rushed him?
He had no time to learn the game down there. He came right from West Virginia into the COVID year up to the big leagues. You need to take your guys, and you have pitchers are different. You can't just say, let's bring them up and go. Why do you think we don't see Tiedemann up yet? They know what they did. Tiedemann is going to take another little bit. He may get up in September this year, but he ain't going to be up here let's throw him in there for Manoah.
Go ahead, Billy.
It's got nothing to do with the fact that his fastball went from 95 to 92.
It's nothing to do with his fastball. Zero to do with his fastball. Nothing to do with his fastball.
What does it got to do with?
Has to do with in between
All
his
right,
ears.
so in between your ears, which I said the same thing, I stopped copying me, stop watching me and the Hall of Famer Rumack. That's all I said.
I don't watch your show. It puts me to sleep.
Speaking of putting,
do you watch it for the producer at least? He does a great job with the Coastal Classic.
Listen.
Like, it's not a matter of that he lost 3 miles an hour, and he topped at 96. He still sat 93, which he's doing now. He just can't get up to 96 anymore. It has nothing to do with it. Listen to him in his interviews. He says his first thought process was...
You want me to? All right, go ahead. Tell the fans.
His first thought process was, I don't want to throw a ball here. Once you start having a negative thought in your mind,
preach to the choir, man. That's what I said what I said for half an hour when Rumack's asking me.
Half hour. You picked the win in the Cy Young this year.
You're a funny guy. You're a funny guy because at the beginning of the year, hold on.
Another prediction done. Another prediction no good.
Marty.
The Leafs goodbye. The Leafs goodbye.
Because
Manoah, goodbye. My NFL playoff picks, goodbye.
Let him have a word.
Here's what I said. You know, with your hair like that, you do look like I've seen pictures of Albert Einstein with his hair like that. You guys
goes after the hair.
Hey, Billy, tell everyone that you make sure that you get your legs waxed just like you do your eyebrows.
You don't have a hair on your goddamn legs, and you're talking about.
I'm not European. I'm not supposed to.
What are you trying to say? That only Europeans get hair on their legs? What are you?
You're supposed hairy guy. You shave yours.
I shave my. Here's the point. So you coming in. So
You
you coming into the season, you had Manoah going 1-7 and getting sent down. Is that what you're saying?
No, I never did.
Are you sure?
Are
you sure? I could have sworn you told me he's going to go 1-8 with a 6 ERA. Are you sure? You brilliant one.
Well, then why are you asking me for? Are you wait? We've gone through this. I've never said that Manoah is the ace on this team, have I? Have I ever said that? Never. Never has that come out of this mouth. Your mouth. It has come out of every time you talk.
Let me see,
now you got to eat crow because he's not there.
Show the hair. Show the hair.
Here.
Show the
right
hair.
here on Billy's mouth. Right there.
Oh, look at him.
It's come out of his mouth that he's the ace of the staff. He's the guy that's got to be here. Here's what I would say.
Here's what I would say, Joe, in fairness to guys like me and you that have been kind of lucky in life with this. No, Marty's a little upset sometimes when he sees the both of us with heads full of hair, and he's a little bit third place. Yeah. We understand where your nerves are coming from. That's fine.
Yours, not single.
What?
Here's the point. The point is, obviously, regardless of how we looked at him, obviously we're all kind of surprised to some degree that it's gotten this bad and that he hasn't figured it out. Now, again, maybe he didn't learn how to feel, maybe he didn't learn how to win, but he's also shown in 2 years, obviously, to be one of the best pitchers. Have you ever seen a guy go from this good? Like, I made a rather flippant.
It's simple.
And I said that.
Rick Ankiel with St. Lucarno.
Yeah.
He's the guy. There's guys that once this goes,
but hold on, here's the difference. With Ankiel, he was throwing the ball to the backstop and over. With Ramirez.
But before that, before he started doing that, he was checked in. Then he got into yips and he couldn't get out of it. There's guys that just can't figure. Here, I totally forgot this, so someone sent it to me. Manoah talks too much, and that's what the problem is. Last year was pressure for tires. Pressure is for tires. Well, what happened, kid? You couldn't handle the pressure.
All right. Alek Manoah sending back down to Florida. Not even Florida State League or whatever.
Well, he's gone so bad they only want him to face teams.
Are you saying Manoah has been starting to drink there, Billy, or what?
No, I think there's somebody on the screen that's got, you know what? I used to have those 10, 12 years ago. I remember what it's like to have those alcoholic rages, man, from time. What are you doing in that shed up in Barrie, man? You had a few cold ones today, eh?
Oh, stop, Billy, already.
Marty had a few cold ones. I can tell he's not all there today. Look at him, man. Look at him. He looks a little disheveled.
All right. Let's get to Blue Jays winning 5-1. And talk about a pitcher. Marty, you want to start us off with Kevin Gausman? This guy consistently 10, 11, 12.
Yeah. You know, Robbie Ray looked really good today. Oh, wait, no, that was Billy who wanted Robbie Ray instead of Kevin Gausman.
Again, making things up.
I'm just telling you what you said. I'm just telling you what you said. I'm just telling you. They're easy to pick out because you go so far out there. We got them. Put that damn cigarette out or we cut you off. Put the cigarette out or we cut you off. We got permission from
the executives, man. I don't know if you heard this.
Nope. Put it off. This is not the East York
bench.
bench.
We got permission from the executives.
Nope. Put it out.
All right.
Put it out. Or we put you in the dugout with Manoah.
Here's the issue. All right. So you've suggested, obviously, if there's nothing wrong with the guy physically, the Blue Jays would have shut him down months ago. So they're probably looking all the way up his asshole to see if there's anything wrong. They haven't found anything. So if it's between the ears, what do you do at this point in time? And would you suggest, because you know how I operate from a psychological perspective with the East York Bulldogs, you've seen me in action, right? You've seen how the boys love the Greek to death. Would you consider, if you're supplier and let's call it like it is. If you were Shapiro and Atkins, would you consider Manoah and the Greek maybe having a little conversation before he goes to Florida for me to straighten him out?
Even more screwed up.
Yeah, he wouldn't even be able to throw a ball then if he talked to you.
And Rick Ankiel came back and played left field.
There's no guarantee that Manoah's going to come back. Mm-hmm. There's none. Having mentally not being able to figure things out can be devastating to a guy's career. It can be. Especially being on the mound where the pressure is constantly on you.
And
it's not you're up one every 4 at bats or once every 9 at bats, you're getting an AB in there. Your defensively, the ball may be hit to you, not hit to you. You're on the mound touching that rubber and you're throwing it's on you all the time. Manoah might not
Would you
be
have
able to come
considered?
back for this.
All
That's
right, I
what I'm saying.
agree. Would you have considered instead of sending them to? Would you have considered maybe sending them to the bullpen for a month?
Nope. He can't throw
Again,
strikes. What you put him in the bullpen
again,
for?
you talk about if it's not thrown. You just said it's mental, right? So it's got to do nothing.
But he's not throwing. But okay, is he going to figure it out because he's in the bullpen mentally stable now? No. The way to do it is you got to take him away from this atmosphere. That's what they're doing. This is a perfect thing for what the Jays have just done. Send him to Florida. He'll work out there. He'll lose some weight. He'll get better condition, feel better about himself. And then they'll work on some things, hopefully, that correct it. If it doesn't, then he just stays there. I'd be surprised if we see him up in all the rest of this year.
Okay, that's a bold take right there. So let me ask you something, oh wise one. Okay, I'm a pitching coach of Durham, man. This guy chews sunflower seeds better than anybody I've ever seen in my life. I gotta hand it to him. Do you see anything mechanically with this guy different from than last year?
Nope.
So explain to me now. You talk about between the ears, right? But to me, obviously the couple miles of hour in velocity, a little different. You can't get away with as many mistakes. And the sharpness in the slider is two different things. Is that mental too?
The sharpness in the slider has to do with guys are laying off his fastball. His slider's always been a loopy slider. Look, go 2 years ago, loopy slider. Why? Because the fastball, he was able to put it where he wanted to put it. So then the slider played better off of that. Now when you can't throw strikes with your fastball or it sinks into the middle of the plate, the slider doesn't look so dangerous anymore. And that's what the problem is. It's nothing to do with his mechanics, because you know what? Walker and them would have figured out after 12 starts it was his mechanics.
Hold on, though. But with all due respect, man, when you put Pete Walker beside Marty Roberts, man, maybe Marty sees some things that old Pete, man, wouldn't have seen, right? You are the...
Over a beer, me and him can discuss it.
Really? Just make sure it's not 10.
Like, this guy's got the same hairline as me. We're
when is somebody
bunch.
going to take account into Pete Walker? He's been here the longest, and nobody fires him. They could put in Pat Hankins, something like that. When is somebody going to take account on Pete Walker?
When obviously at this point in time, when you take a look at the Blue Jays, obviously there's been issues, but really the pitching aspect is the Blue Jays' strength, right? So if you're looking to lay blame, you got to ask yourself, if you're starting with the Blue Jays staff, why in the Blue Hole you have 5 hitting coaches? Number one, and number two, why is you look at your bottom of your lineup. If Brandon Belt, God bless him, even though Chapman's out today, even Chapman, if Belton Chapman is your cleanup hitter on a big league club, man, you got problems, man. That's not a championship lineup 1 through 9, man. If those are your 4, 5, 6 guys, right, that's not a championship club, man. It plain and simple. It's not a championship club, and you got 5 hitting coaches in there, right? And you got Don Mattingly sitting there, the greatest hitter of all time. I don't know what they're doing. They got a psychological coach. They got an assistant hitting coach. They got Schneider. They got Mattingly. And they got Vladimir Guerrero, who's played 50 games and can't hit 1 home run at Rogers Center. I don't know.
So with the group that they had over the last 3 years, did they ever make it out of the first round of the playoffs?
And it's going to be, you know what? It's not only...
No, it's yes or no. Did they ever make it out of the first round of the playoffs?
If you think they're going to make it out this year, then fine. No. All right.
No. I'm not. The year ain't over. I'm asking about. You're saying that these guys. I'm asking you, in the last 3 years, have they made it out of the first year of the playoffs?
You know the answer, Marty.
It's no. You can just say it. It's no.
So what's your point?
Right. So are you going to keep keeping the same players? Because you complain about it with freaking Leafs. Why aren't they making trades? Why aren't they bringing new guys in? Man, no. Why are they not bringing new guys in? But with the Jays, because they got rid of a guy you like, it's the worst trade possible this team could have made.
I'm telling you, roster construction wise, I don't mind the changes. I just have a problem with the return. The ROI.
Explain to me why they have more runs, and they're only 3 home runs behind the last year's total, and they're batting higher.
To me.
Explain it to me.
Hold on, if you're a numbers guy, then explain to me how Bo and Lourdes have the same numbers.
Because let's just figure this out. Bo is 3 years younger than Gurriel. So that tells you that Gurriel needed it over a 6-year span, and Bo only needed to get his ABs over a 3-year span. So that tells you who they think
I didn't say
is the better player.
You're putting words in. I didn't say who the better player.
Well, you're comparing the two of them, so you have to
from
be.
a hitting perspective, they're almost identical, and it's not only me. All right.
If you're comparing them, then I got to phone up Mr. Green from East York and tell him to remove you from the coaching position.
Now. Do you know more? Do you know more about baseball? Do you know more about baseball than Carlos Baerga?
Oh, Carl. Okay, what did Carlos Baerga say, please?
And 2 weeks after, I don't know if he's watching me, go look on the Instagram feed, he compared those two guys and had them as what he's trying to say and what all of us are trying to say is...
Oh, so you're saying that your words are not your own. You follow Carlos Baerga. That's what you're saying. Okay, I got it now. I got it. I figured it out.
But here's the problem. He said it 2 weeks ago. I said it 3 months ago.
I said it
3 months ago, though. That's the difference. Me and a big leaguer think this.
They wouldn't have had that. They wouldn't have had those at bats 3 months ago.
What do you mean? The sample size was the same.
They wouldn't have had those at bats 3 months ago. You just said you sent me the screenshot last week.
Yeah, and when did I say this?
Carlos Baerga, 2 weeks ago, you said. So you followed Carlos Baerga. Thank you, Carlos. Thank you for that input for Billy, because I always thought that his thoughts came out of the clouds.
Espérate. Gracias, Carlos Baerga. Si quiere venir a la show, llámame, okay?
All right. All right. I'll tell you. Okay, I'll finish it like this, man. Anytime you want to bring those jagoffs at Durham to Stan Wadlow to face the Bulldogs.
Here we go.
And you know what? I want you know what, as a matter of fact, I want you to show up at Kinsman if you have any guts in your Durham jersey and go sit on that third base line for the Durham. What do they call themselves? The Legionnaires? The Legionnaires? The ballerinas?
What's going to happen when you get thrown out of the game? You got no coaches on your side.
Number one in terms of my ejection rate, right? It's been every now and then, as you know, Marty, a manager's got to blow a fuse once or twice a year just to get the guys riled up. So again, it was a calculated effort down at Christie Pitts. I want to apologize to all the fans that I called all those bad names. I want to apologize to the Hyde Park bench that I suggested they haven't won anything since they sent that Little League team to the Little League World Series. That's all they're talking about 40 years later, Hyde Park. That's all they've ever done. Sorry I brought that out. I apologize. Anyways, go ahead.
This is the second week in a row.
I heard you got booed. Is this true?
Yeah.
You got booed?
Yeah. I got.
Right. Well, you and Alex Manoah have something in common. And you both
Not only I got booed, I got sworn at, I got laughed at, I got ridiculed by our fans, by my assistant coach threw me under the bus. Everybody, it was just a bad day to be the Greek. I'll tell you that it wasn't a shining moment again.
Don't worry. Loris Gurriel thanks you for sticking up.
But it's a bad day, but he's still in second place. I think 7-4.
No. When you say second place, the clubs on top of us are in the other. They're in the eastern side. So the East York Bulldogs playing the worst possible baseball.
Joseph, here I'm going to say this. I'm going to tell you this. If we can figure out how to field the routine balls, we might.
Well,
not
who's the fielding coach then, Marty?
You know what? It has to do with kids when they come up to the park. You can be taught all you want. You can be taught the proper way to field balls. But when you get in a game and you decide, hey, I want to take this off the side like Bo Bichette or Pena, and I want to field balls like that as opposed to fielding it the way it should be fielded, then that's when errors come into place. These guys aren't big leaguers. They got to do it the proper way. These guys in the big leagues all do things. You think they did it when they were at college? Heck no. They could do it now they're there. These kids have to do the basic fundamentals.
So what you're suggesting now is, in essence, you're throwing Poppy under the bus and saying that he's not.
No, I just said he's teaching them the proper way. They're not doing it. It's just like a pitcher. Have you ever seen a knuckleball pitcher ever drafted? No, you never will. Because he was throwing 95 when he got drafted. It didn't work out, so he switched things and became it. You think Adam Simber got drafted?
Okay, so Marty,
no. These guys have to
realize
realize you have to be fundamentally sound in order to win.
What does fundamentally sound have to do with a knuckleball, you potato farmer?
We're talking about fielding as well. Everything has to be fundamentally sound. You don't get drafted because you can throw
fair
underhand.
enough. So when you're talking about fundamentally sound, does that include how you fix your hair on game days for you?
Oh my God!
Yeah, it's called a hat.
Okay, here's the next question.
That you know what?
He's even choking up. He's even choking
I
up.
told you, kid, if you knew me from young, right, I would have saved your life. I would have saved your hair. I would have told you, get rid of that hat from very young.
Is that why you don't wear
A hat
hats?
could cover everything. Hat could cover everything.
If you look at guys, why are the majority of guys that play baseball, if you look at them, they get older, they're bald. Same with hockey guys. It's all that helmets
Football
and all.
guys also.
It's all that sweat and all that, like in the helmets, and that kills you, man. It's poor Roberts over there, man. Look what he did a number on that poor bastard.
Here's a picture on the staff here, okay? So I want to touch a couple of pictures are going for Tommy John. Second, we talked about this off air. Take us through, and we talked about, usually, or last 5 years, 10 years, you have one Tommy John. Perception is that you're finished. But now they're having 2 or 3, and they're expected back in a year and a half.
Yeah, well, there was a time that it was. Everyone thought, oh, one time you get it and it's done. You don't have to ever do it again. And there was actually parents in the United States that were having their kids get Tommy John even though they did not need it, because they thought A, it was going to make them throw harder, and B, they would never need it again.
Kind of like the COVID shot.
It's not happening that way, right? It's not happening. No, they never said just one shot for COVID.
2.
They just kept going. You got to get another one, another. So we're up to, but with I think the Jays had, what was his name? Kyle Drabek?
Yeah.
Is that who it was? He had it 3 times as well. And how long's he been out of the big leagues for? 5-6 years? Like I said, when guys throw as hard as they do now, they don't take any time off to let their arms recover. They're doing the weighted ball stuff. This is a lot of toll on your arm for a motion that is unnatural. And guys like DeGrom, number 2, it's 12 to 18 months to rehab this. So he's out to at least this time next year if all goes well.
And also Strasburg from Washington.
Yeah. Strasburg's always been a guy that always had issues from day one. He got lucky. He had a couple good seasons, and Washington said, let's give you the money to give you some stability with your paycheck.
Marty.
Or stability. Or stability. He's getting stability from having his paycheck.
Long-term security, Marty. When it comes to
Marty,
hold on. Like, you're a lot of things, but when on this panel, when it comes to of the intellectual prowess, and that you're second, just listen to the green. All I'm doing is helping you out, buddy.
I'm looking at my pension right now for my security.
That a boy.
All right, enough.
But anyways, 12 to 18 months is what it is. Ryu, they say, is going to be back maybe in August. So that put him about 13 months to get it done. And he's a guy that doesn't throw 95, 98 miles an hour. He's a finesse type guy, right? So if it's taking him that long to come back, I don't know what it would take a guy like DeGrom that's throwing, upper 90s.
I want to talk about the Texas Rangers now, and specifically former Blue Jay Marcus Semien on a tear. Billy, you'll start off with you. The Texas Rangers, are you surprised at how good they are this year?
Yes and no. You obviously with the additions they've made, and the fact that the ownership is invested heavily from a financial perspective on what they're doing. You expect them to get better. Did you expect them to play this well? Maybe, maybe not. Do you expect them to continue this through August and September? I'd say the jury's out. But when it comes to Semien, there's one guy, again, when you're talking about professional athletes and you're talking about rest days, you're talking about pampered athletes, Marcus Semien is the anomaly. Here's the kind of guy that plays every day, practices just as much as he plays in a lineup 162 times. And again, when you're talking about professional ball players and a pro's pro, when you're talking about culture, all those words we've used in the past, Marcus Semien is that and then some. And obviously at this point in his career, producing numbers that even by his measures are somewhat surprising. So kudos to Semien. And again, really, really a class guy and the epitome of what a big league ball player should look like from a variety of perspectives.
Marty?
Well, Semien's best move was signing that 1-year deal with the Jays. That was his absolute best move, moving to second base. It got him the big paycheck, and he's just continued to do it. He's batting over 300 this year. It would have been nice if he would have signed with the Jays, but the Jays were never going to offer that kind of money. but it would have been nice to see him at second base. Now, Texas, the big thing for Texas is being their starting rotation. Even with DeGrom out of there, they have some guys in there having career years right now. Gray is one of them that is, I think he's like a below 2 ERA now. So they may come back down to earth to start a rotation. It may, but they got some guys that can hit. They're in a division that it looks like it's just going to be them in Houston. Anaheim, just, I don't know what's up with Anaheim. I really can't figure them out. They got some guys and they still can't win the games. But Texas, it all comes down to their pitching this year. And their pitching has been pretty damn good.
So the question is, if you look at this point in time in the history in Simeon, the question is, if you fast forward and you're a Blue Jay fan, the consensus is that your boy, a guy that you really love, and I like, you really love, at the hot corner. So what's the number there in terms of Chapman? Obviously, will be probably the second most prized free agent this offseason by all accounts. What's the number there that you're comfortable? Are you comfortable to give Simeon like money to Chapman, 7 and 150?
Man, you know, I'm not. I think he gets somewhere between 20 and 25 million
for 7.
Per. I just don't know. I don't know how many years
they're
going
to
to
go 5. They won't max out.
I don't know. I don't know. Like, he's a guy that, you know, plays obviously elite defense. He can hit, you know, the ball of the park. His batting average, yes, it's 280 right now, but he's not a 280 hitter. We all know that. He's a 250 guy. But like you just said, once what's his name, Manny went off the market when San Diego extended him, he now becomes the top third baseman in this upcoming offseason. So he might be able to get 30 million per year. I don't know what he's going to get. I hope that he stays a J and they sign him. I would say it'll probably take about 150.
And are you comfortable to pay that?
You have to.
It's not my money, sure.
You have to pay that. That's the market.
Like if you're already, you got to look at it this way too. You're losing $20 million off the pay book, the books from Ryu leaving. Then you got another 10 million or so, whatever it is, for Belt leaving. So you got 30 million right there. You have that you can use.
But fair enough. But you also got a big fat first baseman that you're going to have to open the bank for.
Yeah, but you don't have to. He's still 3 years of arbitration, right? Same as Bo's under for 3 years, so they don't have to worry about him just yet. Because near the end of that contract, Springer then starts falling off the books. So and then Bassett's 3 years. So there's some things that could be done here. I think they do have to sign. I just do. Like if you went out and spent all this money to get Gausman and Bassett on the mound and Kikuchi for that matter, and then went out and make trades and sign other guys, you have to sign Chapman. You don't want a third baseman.
Do you give a all right? Having said that, do you give? And again, we know how important it is to keep 6 years of control. But given the lack of bats off the bench and the blue, do you give this kid a look? Do you kind of see what you have ahead of time before you make that Chapman decision and get him in the lineup?
Which kid? You know, Berger's going to be, what's he, 22 years old? Like,
do you give him a look?
He's a guy you're going to have to look at. You're going to have to look at him. You really are. You are. And now is it you sign Chapman for 3 or 4 years, say? You get him for 4. Let's say 4 years, we'll say. Berger's 22. He comes up and he can play multiple positions and the outfield as well. Do you let him come up and get his stripes that way at the age of 23? And then in 3 years' time, he's then your third baseman?
Number one, I don't know. I think it'd be fool's gold to think Chapman's going to sign any contract for 4 years. That's ideally. Ideally, we'd love to see that. Obviously, short, but unless you want to give him $100 million over 3 years, he ain't signing for 3 years. Put it that way. So the question is, before you make a decision on Chapman, right? Do you want to see the kid play with the big club second half of the season?
I think he's your call up in September. I think he is. Now, in that time, do they make some moves that allow him to come up, like get rid of Biggio, something like that allows him to come in and get – you can't bring him up and not have him get regular at-bats.
So hold on. Let me ask you this. Do you go to Chapman in, let's say, July, because the trade deadline is July 31st, and say, look, we're prepared to give you 5 years, $150 million. If you sign, great. If not, we're going to try to move you at the deadline, and then you bring in.
You're right, Joe. That is a conversation the Jays probably already having with
Chapman.
what the heck's his agent? No, his agent.
Boris.
Boris, yes. So there's no question they're having these conversations. Now, here's what's going to make it awfully tough for the Jays. If Chapman says no, I'm testing free agency, and the Jays are in a playoff spot, what are you going to do?
Well, you got to play Chapman, but you have to maybe give him a day off here.
You're going to have to eat it and hope that you could talk him into sticking around. That's what you're going to have to do.
Joel, as you guys are talking, the Greek just got laser focused. So I'm looking at Marty right here, straight.
I saw you looking at Instagram. Was that Carlos Baerga?
Hold on. All you need, kid, I got it. All you need is like a little bit here to put right. Like as I'm watching, if you get a little do right here in the middle, right? Just a little, man.
See? Taken care of.
If you, oh, God.
It's taken care of, kid. You don't have to worry about this. Look.
Hold on.
Listen, you know that, man, now I look like I'm friggin'
man, look at him.
This is how Billy wears his hat on the bench because he never wears a hat.
Here.
Come on, guys.
All right. Come on, we gotta close it out here. I want to talk about hockey, and I want to get your prediction on NBA. But
this is Blue Jay Strength, so why are we going to hockey?
I got news. We talked off here, me and Bill.
By the way, Varsho's on his longest hitting streak of his career, 10 games. And did you see this? Not one guy, maybe Kiermaier. I'll give Kiermaier. I always throw Kiermaier in there with Varsho because he's a guy who hustles all the time as well. Did you notice that ball, they called it in the play? Do you see where Varsho was standing instead of watching it? He was already at third base. Every other guy on the team, minus Kiermaier, would have been either at first base or might still be in the box watching the ball. Right? So that's the thing that you got to look at Varsho.
My intention was not to. My intention is just, and we don't want to recap. My intention is that I believe for the assets given, I believe you should have got a greater return, and I'll stand by that till I'm blue in the face. And you'll stand
over the Greek one time. I'm going to put over the Greek one time.
Sure. After Marty just came here and just verbally attacked, I'm in a sensitive state, Marty. I'm 50 pounds overweight.
That's why I have to put.
Well, I'm reading my TDC Fund Pension Fund Society right now, so I'm just seeing my security. Just hold on a second.
All right, so go back to the Fired Up Network yesterday. Watch Rumac and the Greek for the shellac of Dubas. But here's the truth. Here's inside information that you won't get on the 3-letter network, that you won't get on Fox and all this. You want
that's 3 letters.
T something, whatever. All right. Here it is. Dubas was promised by the higher-ups that if they don't make the 3rd round or the Stanley Cup, Brendan Shanahan will be gone. He was promised that. Then he was called in by the higher-ups. Brendan Shanahan did not know this and said, we're going to go with status quo. We're giving you a contract. Here, mull it over and all that. He went to Shanahan and says, okay, I'm going to mull it over. I got to talk with my family. My family means everything. And if it's not Toronto, it's nowhere and all that. But he, like Marty Roberts, broke the news. See, I'm putting both you guys over in March. Marty, what did you say about the Pittsburgh Penguins in March?
That they had an open check or blank check for Kyle Dubas to become part of the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Marty Roberts was correct. So Kyle Dubas did a little bit of chicanery here, called up Pittsburgh and all that, and found out that Pittsburgh was going to offer him the GM job, but then took a little bit less, took more years, and found out they're going to give him the president of hockey operations, basically the same job that Brendan Shanahan had or has. And that's why Kyle Dubas left the bag, holding the Leafs, holding the bag, or specifically Shanahan holding the bag.
Johnson.
Sorry?
Holding their Johnson.
Okay, whatever, Johnson. Or stop playing. Go back to East York and play with the balls yourself. All right? So, look, that's what happened here. And as you know, rumors came out that Dubas had some trades for Erik Karlsson and all that. It doesn't come out till everything happened here. So tell me why, and Billy, I'll start with you. Tell me why the new GM of the Maple Leafs cannot be at the draft table, but the president of hockey operations for Pittsburgh got permission from the Maple Leafs to be at the draft table.
The best way I can answer this is if you just take a look at Kyle Dubas and his history. You got to give this guy credit, man. He is a, you know what, in Greek we call it kutoponi. Yeah, he is a sneaky son of a bitch. Somehow he's found his way into one of the best and premium spots in the world of hockey and professional sports. For that matter, there's only 100 of these jobs around, and a guy that's never been in a dressing room, doesn't have an athletic bone in his body, is a, for all intents and purposes, I don't want any personal attacks, but just look at the guy. If you blow on him, he'll fall over, little guy. And the point is, somehow, some way, he's manipulated everybody. He got somehow, some way, Shanahan to endorse him for the general manager spot. When at the same time, exodus of Lou Lamoriello, a career hockey guy. You didn't go to Hunter, right? And who knows what the future would have been like if you went in any of those two directions, right? I'm guessing it would have been better than, than a 7-year Dubas run. I'm guessing. So he got those directions. Shanahan gave him the job. You didn't do the job, and then all of a sudden you want a promotion. And if you don't get the promotion, you're gonna lie. You're gonna be a two-faced. You're gonna come on and talk about your family. You're gonna talk about this, that, the other. Meanwhile, you don't give a rat's ass about nothing except what? Career advancement and holding the people hostage. The money obviously aspect. So to me, it's just it left a real sour taste, and it just goes to show you that Kyle Dubas, the human being and the character, is just as garbage as the job he did at the end of the day for me. And he's a liar. He's a liar, and you can't shake it any other way. You can't come one week and say the only place in the world is in Toronto, and then a week later you're in a press conference in Pittsburgh with the two owners. Like, and you somehow, you little dweeb, you're in the middle of two billionaires, and somehow you found your way in the middle of this scene. God bless you. I don't know how we did it, man. Like, really. It's a genius. He's a genius, but you know what he is? He's a dirty, lying, rotten snake, son of a bitch, piece of crap.
And he did it on purpose because he knows the Maple Leafs were going to announce Brad Terliving as the GM at 12 o'clock. What does he do? Well, 11:40. Let's have a press conference in Pittsburgh. Come on.
And again, the only way, like, I can understand this, but I can understand the contract dispute, man. If you just lost the 6th game of the Stanley Cup final and you actually did something, then you can have some kind of leverage, man. But you had a job for 7 years and you won one playoff series, and all of a sudden, what? I don't know what the Penguins are seeing anyways, because they'll get to see the Dubas act over there. So again, it's just fascinating, and all the behind the scenes shenanigans are quite indicative of a lot of dysfunction over on Bay Street. And you could have known this. Even a low IQ individual like Marty Roberts could have figured this out. When you're talking about Shanahan and Dubas were never in the same picture for the better part of 6 months, when in previous playoff runs, those guys were inseparable, right? So you knew something was coming. It just unfortunately Dubas gave Leafs and the hierarchy and everything else the shaft on the way out.
All right, Marty, there was a big trade, a 3-way trade today in the National Hockey League and between Philadelphia and Columbus and the LA Kings. Marty, give me your thoughts on the trade there.
Well, now it's a question of where's Hart going to go after this? Right? Hart's no longer going to be in Philadelphia. That's what it looks like for sure. You know, Columbus gave up a first rounder to get a guy who's a bit of a troublemaker, right? He was a bit of a troublemaker in Philadelphia. Kings, I think, gave a second round for to take someone's salary or something like that. But I don't think Philadelphia is done. Philadelphia is going to be Hart's not around there. So what team needs a goalie? Is Hart that guy? I've never been a fan of Hart's, but maybe in a different system, Hart might be a pretty good goalie because with Team Canada, he was pretty solid, right? Once he got to Philadelphia, he had glimpses where he looked good and he looked really bad. So I think there's still another trade that Philadelphia is going to do here. It's going to be Hart somewhere. Where's Hart going to go? I don't know.
The rumor has he may go to Montreal. And Montreal obviously needs a goalie there. Billy, what do you say?
I didn't even know there was a trade today, fellas. So
Okay.
just fill me in. Who
So-
was moving? What was going on?
Prokhorov is the biggest name, went from Philadelphia to Columbus. And Mike Babcock is now the new coach, going to be announced July 1st as the new coach of the Babcocks. Hold on, or the Babcocks, of the Blue Jackets.
Zoom in here. Forget about. Look, you know what? Here's what we're gonna do, Marty. As you know what? I was feeling. Get the camera off me. I was feeling a little bit of a kindredship with you, a closest, like our relationship was revitalized until you came on here, man, with your foul attitude towards the blue chipper, your snarly comments, man. Don't forget, kid over there, pay attention when the Greeks talk.
Hello?
Carlos
Hello?
Mayorga.
Yeah, Carlos? Hi, Carlos. Hi, Carlos. How are you? Carlos, yes, I'm speaking to Billy right now. What do
He's
you want
saying
to
it in
say?
Spanish, Marty. I'll translate.
Oh, see? Okay, yeah, I'll tell him. He loves you, Billy.
And don't forget, hold on here, cowboy. Hold on 1 second, man. Let's break the.
Yeah, I needed you today, Joseph, at the airport. I'm at the airport. Lady comes. She's from Mexico. She has her app here, and I have to speak into her phone English, and it translated it to Spanish. And I needed you there for that because I don't even know what the heck I told her.
You're driving a bus. You could hold the bus, say you got to call the president of province of Canada, and look. And I would charge you. What's your security check there at TTC? Not big enough. All right, Billy. Tomorrow, Game 3 of the NBA Finals. This time in Miami. The Denver Nuggets, Miami Heat series tied up at 1. Who you got for Game 3? By the way, we're going to do a preview with Alex Campbell and Drew Ebanks and a post game. Go ahead, Billy. He's thinking. He wants to shave.
I got this zit on my neck right here. It's one of those spots. It's like a little bit ingrown, and it's a tough popping position for those of you that know what I'm talking about, right? It's right on the vein. So if you try to pop,
we're gonna zoom it in. Go ahead, Billy.
It's right there. Can you see it?
No.
What about those zits are on the side of your nose? They bring tears to your eyes when you try to pop them.
Here's what I'll tell you, man. I'm not responding to those derogatory comments. What I will tell the people is obviously Marty Roberts is a established guy, and they
forget about Marty Roberts. Say what's your prediction of the NBA game?
It doesn't matter. NBA doesn't matter. This is more important, Joe. That you guys also have to understand that this guy over here, see that guy over there that's belligerent, that's picking on me, that's making me feel a little bit less than. I raised that guy, man. I brought him on the Fired Up Network 2 years ago. This guy couldn't put a sentence together. He was shy as hell. And look at him now. He can almost hang with the Greek, man. And kudos to me for creating. That's what I do in life, man. I find low talent individuals and I turn them into men. And Marty Roberts, one of the best examples of the magic that I do when it comes to shaping the lives of uneducated, talentless individuals, and I bring them to the spotlight. And there he is. Look at him, man. 2 years ago, he couldn't even get a sentence out. This guy
and
on air.
All right.
And I'm going to show you the magic that I work, Joseph. Just look at these York Bulldogs pitching staff. That's the magic I work.
All right, Billy, are you going to pick the game for Game 3 or what?
I really at this point. At this point in time, can't get a feel of the series. I like Denver from the outset. So if I like Denver to win the series, then I gotta like them in Game 3. I like the Nuggets to win in 6. So for them to win in 6, you better win Game 3, or else that prediction's looking a little challenging. Give me the Nuggets, because again, the best player in the world, hands down, is Nikola Jokic. And for me, when you got the best player, and you're looking at the rest of the Denver club that's much deeper than Miami. Miami, for them to win, a million things got to go right. Everybody's got to play good. All their bench guys got to play good. They scored 50 points off the bench the other day. I can't see that happening 4 out of 7 times against Denver. So again, we're gonna ride the Nuggets. Nikola Jokic for his first championship, and again, well deserved, best player on the planet, and he's been the best player in the NBA aside from maybe the Greek over the last 3 years. Denver Nuggets, how's that?
Thursday night here on the flagship show of Fired Up Network, Fired Up Live. We're going to do game 3 review of the Stanley Cup Finals. But here we'll do a small preview. Look, Marty, tell him something. Tell him something, Marty. Look what he's doing.
It's been a long hour, fellas. It's been a long hour.
Marty, apologize to him. Marty, come on. Please apologize to the Greek. He's rather emotional right now. He took it.
I'm sorry, Billy, that I pointed out the flaws in your argument.
Well, no, it wasn't necessarily the flaws that had me a little perturbed. It was just your disposition in a malicious fashion towards the Greek after a little Ricky Henderson. That was unwarranted. It's like, you know what that was? That was like a roid rage. Look at you, man. Are you on steroids? Look at this
Marty, care to comment?
I don't respond to personal shots.
All right. So, again, Marty Roberts, hopefully Billy will be on here Thursday night, flagship show, recapping Game 3.
Are you guys watching, Marty? You watching the hockey at all? Do you have any interest? It's hard to watch hockey in June, isn't it?
Yeah, it's awfully tough to watch it. And two teams I really don't follow anyways to be playing.
Now here's the question got to ask. Obviously, you know what's coming. The big question. Will there be a little one-man parade in Barrie, Ontario when Vegas wins? Will there be one guy downtown driving and be...
It'll be in Pickering. It'll be in Pickering.
So there won't be...
My brother will have his Las Vegas jersey on.
He lives in Pickering? Really? No kidding. So in other words, I've been riding Barrie, Ontario for years, and meanwhile he's in Pickering?
He's in Pickering. See?
No kidding.
Right. On that,
I think he might live in the nuclear plant. That might explain a lot.
Well, you know, again, man, we love Jamie. I love Jamie Roberts. He's one of the really good guys, and it's just unfortunate that life's given him a kind of couple.
Billy, I have a text here. Look, I do have a text.
Life's given him a couple of challenges. It's okay.
It's from Digit Murphy. Digit Murphy has been watching the show. Digit Murphy agrees with the Greek. And Marty Roberts wants another apology, a proper apology to the Greek, and she says, "I can give her digits out to the Greek now."
I'm questioning the sincerity of that text. To be quite frank with you,
look at that. She wants to give her digit.
All right, put it up on the screen and let me see.
No, I can't show it the world. But you have a pen and paper. I'll give the first three.
Here's whatever for anybody that watches. Digit Murphy is savvy. She's uncanny. She's witty, and she knows what she's talking about. She's a beautiful young lady, and just as beautiful outwardly as she is inwardly. And for me, it's one of the really, really stars of the Fired Up Network.
What about Taylor Woods?
Woodsy is a piece of work too, man, and we'll just leave it at that.
Huh? And what about Alex Campbell?
Oh God, what do you want me to do? Critique these guys? So let's see the Fired Up Network. Hold on, man. Let's see how this is going now. So the Fired Up Network, the young rookie sensation, a protege of the Greek, man. I raised him from a little infant, as I told you guys.
Wait a minute,
Alex Campbell. I discovered that
young veteran.
Well, look at him, the little guy, man. Look at him. This is how he was in Scarborough 30 years ago, trying to be Eminem. Look at him right there. He spent his whole life trying to be Eminem, and now he's just an old geezer in Barrie, man.
He's gonna sing us out with an Eminem song. All right, put it lower, Marty. I gotta tell us how. All right,
Marty. Hey, put it down one sec. What's the chances, Marty, in your estimation, that Hully's playing shortstop for the Bulldogs on Saturday at 1 p.m. in Kinsman Stadium?
-5%.
-5%. So you don't like that, eh? Well, anyway, shout out to that kid. We love you to death. We're thinking about you. We're a little selfish. We're conflicted, man. But baby, come home, man. Come home where we love you, man. The East Shore Bulldogs are waiting for you with open arms. We look forward to seeing you, whether it's in the not too distant future or down the road at the Limbs. We miss you. All the guys want to see you, and we got a spot for you right away in the middle of that club.
Who's this guy?
Noah Hall. Shout out to Noah. Shout out to Noah Hall, somewhere out in the Northwoods League. Where is he, Marty? Minnesota. He's in Minnesota again, trying to fight to hold on to his dream, trying to fight to get a contract, to get drafted, to play for an organization. And again, whatever the case is, we wish him the best and hope everything good happens in his life, and can't wait to cross paths again.
All right, Marty, you start us off. Tell everybody how they could get a hold of you.
Old Lefty 22, Twitter, Instagram, 1 o'clock Saturday in Oshawa at Kinsman Park. I'll be on the third base side sitting with Oshawa on my Durham gear.
Really?
Who's going to win that game, Billy?
You just told me to go there.
Well, I don't know if.
Anyways, it's actually the first base side. Third base is us.
That's and you know what's funny that Oshawa's obviously been doing that for years. What's the thought process? Because Leaside was doing that obviously for years too, and this year finally they've switched. They've switched dugouts. They're on the first base side now.
Well, it's easy for Oshawa. First of all, the change rooms are right behind the first base side, and the bullpen has two bullpens as opposed to third base line.
All right, Billy, you got a pen and paper? I got to give you her digits.
Joe, at this point in time, don't sully the relationship we've already built on there. Just let it develop in the confines of a little privacy, and that's all I'll say with.
All right, so Billy says Denver tomorrow. Denver in the NBA finals. There, we'll be back Thursday with the Stanley Cup Finals. And Marty, tomorrow, Blue Jays. Who you got?
I think Bassett's going to win it for his new son. Like, I don't care. I don't know if anyone knows. Like, I'm going to go back a bit. Bassett throwing that game when his wife was in labor. He's in New York. She's in Toronto. And he goes and throws a gem out like that. It's just unbelievable. And that's what I mean about certain guys can handle pressure. Some guys can't. Bassett's one of those.
And again, man,
I expect Bassett.
We'll go out on this, no man. That sometimes, even though I'm right about, I don't know, probably 85 to 90%. There, let me get a closer look there so the ladies can see me. At a boy, man, there we go. 85 to 90% of the time, I'm usually bang on. But when it comes to Bassett and the acquisition, this is one that I kind of. I guess I was on the wrong side of this argument. I didn't like the guy, but again, he's proven to me over the course of his time here. The only thing I couldn't get out of my head with Bassett is that Game 3 against San Diego that I expected more in a big spot. But again, Bassett's been unbelievable this year, aside from a couple of starts. And where would the Jays be without him? Where would the Jays be without Bassett and Berrios, right? And Gausman, obviously, front runner for the Cy at this point in time. Would you say?
Well, if you take out, he had two bad games.
Those 2 games,
all right, Gausman. He's like a 1.5 ERA. Like he's only allowed 4 runs outside of that. That's crazy. Is interesting. With 114 strikeouts. So
front runner for the side. Well, for the side, you'd have to figure the Blue Jays got to get in contention, got to be at least a wild card team.
Yeah, you know, and there's a couple guys in the AL that are doing pretty good as well. So it's going to be a tough mix in there. But Gausman, if he keeps throwing like this, he's got to be one of the top contenders, right? I know before it used to be wins. Wins is what did it. You get 20 victories. No one gets 20 victories anymore. So it's going to come down to ERAs and strikeouts and whip.
All right, who do you got before we get going? Interesting. I'm interested to know, who do you got in the AL East? You got Tampa or the rest of the division? So you can have either Tampa or any of the 4 clubs to beat them. Who do you got?
I'm taking the other 4.
So you look at Tampa to slide back come second half.
Yep. Yeah, I just think eventually something's going to pop up on them. We already saw that their closers on the IR now. Always injuries happen in Tampa. They got off to a great start. As much as a good start they got off, Baltimore's only 3.5 games behind them.
Yeah.
Right. So as much as they get off to that great start, so I would take the rest of the division over Tampa. As much as they're doing great, they are. They're if you looked at them at the beginning of the year, you'd be like, really? For them to come out like this, but I would take.
All right, I want to say happy belated birthday to my great friend and Marty's great friend, the heavy hitter. Billy, you want to say anything to the heavy hitter?
We're going through some difficult times, me and the hitter, in terms of our friendship. So at this point in time, I'd rather not make that public discourse. The hitter and I. All right,
so Marty, you want to play the song, the happy birthday song? Come on, do something for the heavy hitter. I'm going to put you guys in a jacuzzi.
I messaged the kid. You know that he's mad at Billy. He's taking out on me. He doesn't even say thanks.
Wow.
Speaking of thanks, man, how in the blue hell did Mike Babcock get one more shot in the NHL, man? How did this happen? And again, this is fact.
Especially with a team that just got rid of a coach, that's exactly like him.
So you figure, like, if you're running Mike Babcock and so what is this, a 5-year plan with Columbus? What's going on here? You found a guy that's 70 to coach kids, and he's never coached kids before. He's not successful. He needs veteran clubs, yet you give him a job to coach a club that's going to be a last place club or a bottom feeder. To me, that's a fascinating hire. And again, it just goes to show how some guys, no matter how inept they are, they keep finding jobs. Like Marty Roberts, never won nothing in his life. They hired him at Durham. Now he's the East Shore pitching coach. The guy just keeps landing on his feet, man. He can't figure it out.
And Billy, when are you going to be another manager, man? When the success that you have, manager of the year last year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. Come on.
Here's the truth of the matter is nobody in their lifetime would hire a degenerate like me anywhere, man. The truth is, I'm a one-hit wonder, and the only place in the world I can get away with what I do and build the franchise in the way I want is under Andrew Green. Trust me, there'll never be another
Hold on. I disagree with that. You're hired here on the Fired Up Network. How stupid am I?
I'm talking about the baseball community. If you look at, and Marty would not ever say this, but if you look at what I've done and where I've taken East Shore, not in terms necessarily of wins and losses, but the culture, the program, the amount of bodies that come out, man, I'm proud of the work that I've done. I'm proud of the work that we've all done. And I believe that East York is the preeminent, is a model franchise in terms of what you do to not only get kids involved, to get kids included, and to get kids in love with the game. I don't think there's anybody better than yours truly and the staff that we have at East York. So I'll just leave it at that. But who else is going to hire a guy that every 2 minutes goes down the left field line and smokes cigarettes with the guys? Nobody's going to do that.
There's two of them. There's two of them, Joseph, that do it.
And Poppy. And
three of them. Sorry, three of them.
Yeah,
I want to say this has been a great show, and say hello to my new friend. Hola, Poppy.
We'll bring Poppy on one time. Absolutely.
Is he?
Joseph, I still haven't understood half the words that are coming in his mouth. I just nod and agree.
He's a beautiful man. We're lucky. We got
Greek,
a good.
You're Greek, Spanish, and Greek almost the same. Come on, you're supposed to know a few words.
Again, Marty said he doesn't understand, man. I nod too, man.
I'm bringing the app out next week. Having them speak into it so I can understand.
All right. Anyways. So looking forward for those of you out there. Hold on. For those of you out there that might be watching this or in replay, Kinsman. This is as big, Marty, would you say? It's an exhibition game, but this is as big a junior baseball game that will be played all year. Am I over exaggerating?
No, it's going to be a big game. It's two juggernauts of teams that are playing against each other. That could be
a preview.
A preview of a Limbs finals matchup.
Absolutely. And I'm
Are you playing for your security, Marty? Are you playing for your security?
For my security. I keep trying to get Billy to fire me, but he gives me so much security with this job. He'll never.
The only reason I can't get rid of the guy, again, I don't give a rat's ass, but the kids seem to love him, man. And if the kids love him, he's good with me.
All right. On that note, for Marty Roberts, Billy the Greek, you've been watching Blue Jay Strike Zone on the Fired